Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's live trading action video. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Today's date is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. Well, folks, many of you guys have followed me on cryptocurrencies in the last few months. I've talked about just continually accumulating Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, the top cryptocurrencies. And just a few days ago, I came out with this chart, folks. You can see it right here, going just at the end of March with showcasing a trend line and saying you were going to get a breakout on Bitcoin here. And again, you can see this is the exact chart. You can find it on my Twitter, time-stamped, everything. March 27th, we talked about this, and I said, listen, guys, it's going to go. It's going to go. It's a coiled spring. It's going to rip higher. And you can see the trend line here I put in. Pivot high, pivot high, pivot high to pivot high, and you were coming right up under it for the fifth time. And what we know about trend lines based on the PPT methodology, and by the way, the PPT methodology works for stocks, commodities, forex, crypto, anything. If you can chart it, you can use the PPT methodology. But the point was here is that the more times you hit this resistance line, the weaker it becomes. So it was exceptionally weak by the fifth time it hit here. In addition, you were getting higher lows. Low pivot, higher low, etc., which was telling you it was a coiled spring. Another factor that made me very bullish on Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies was that Bitcoin in the last month prior to this recent breakout, which we'll show you just on the chart in a minute here, but it was in a 7% range. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin have never in history been in a 7% range for a full month. It showed consolidation, it showed basing, and it showed lack of volatility, which is usually what happens when a spring is being coiled to make a move. And again, my personal policy here, my thought process is that institutions have been accumulating. They've been keeping it in a tight range on purpose to kind of lure in the SEC and other bodies to try to get a Bitcoin ETF out there. I think it will eventually come as it stabilizes here, and I think you're going to see a much more stable currency. You're going to have breakouts on it, you're going to have pullbacks, but it's going to much more mimic a normal market. I mean, in all fairness, let's be realistic here. In December, from October to December, we had a 20% corrective move in the market. So, Bitcoin, that's in a couple months, 20%. Bitcoin in a 7% range. In fact, during the 7% range on Bitcoin in the last month, the markets actually were more volatile. The stock market, think about that. So, in any case, my point is, it was coiling here. It was ready to break out. I made the call. I obviously have a large position in Bitcoin and Ethereum, Litecoin. Those are my favorites. And off to the races it went. All right, take a look at this next chart. This is the move today. You can see the breakout. So just over the last couple days. So here was my call right here underneath the line. It pushed up 1, 2, 3 days of consolidation, which is a micro time count right there, and then the blast off right here. But it was free. Here it was free. It just needed that initial push. And today, again, it getting above 5,000. So again, think about that, folks. From where I made the call, we were basically at 4,000. It went above 5,000, a full 1,000 point move on Bitcoin in basically 24 hours or less. That is what I'm talking about there, folks. And it's not done yet. Sure, you're going to get pullbacks. In fact, from 51 and change right here, you've pulled back to about 4,800 on Bitcoin. You're going to get pullbacks. You're going to get consolidation, but it is going higher. All right, within the next month, it should get to about 6,000, but 6,000 is an epic resistance level. I want to be clear on that. Here's the chart showing you, guys, that next level push. So here's the current price. Here was the breakout trend line. Look at these pivot lows. Pivot low, pivot low, pivot low, pivot low. All these pivot lows right around 6,000. That's your resistance point. That is going to be epic. I actually think Bitcoin gets back there probably within a month, and then it'll take a long time of consolidation before it takes that out. Now, eventually it's going higher. I'm a long-term bull on crypto, especially the more the Fed bows to pressure. The more the Federal Reserve talks about not unloading its balance sheet and keeping a bigger balance sheet, and then we all know that the next crisis will occur. They'll add another $5 trillion to their balance sheet, maybe $10 trillion. They won't be able to unload that in the next little bull run in the market. It's just a house of cards that's being built higher and higher, eventually to collapse. The same thing goes for the debt in the U.S. government, $22 trillion now, and it's only going up $1 trillion a year at this point, maybe even more. That's unsustainable. If you look at the European Union, same thing. Japan, same thing. China, the debt is insane. And what are they doing? They're all printing money to get out of every little recession. Think about China. China did this just recently. They have a slowing economy there. They did a massive stimulus package. That's the go-to thing. And it's great in the short run, but eventually you devalue your currency to an epic level where it's unsustainable. Okay, and that's where cryptocurrencies are going to get their solace. That's where they're going to get their real life. And so long term, I mean, if you're asking me where Bitcoin is in 10 or 15 years from now, I actually think it's north of 100K. Now, that's a long time from now. In the short term, I think 6K, and then you're going to get a significant kind of stall out and consolidation period for quite some time. Around 6K, will probably pull back to even 5,000 at that point. But longer term, it makes sense. Cryptocurrencies make sense. Now, I'm a strong believer that you have to stick with best of breed. Just like during the .com, if you invested in Amazon when it was at $3 or $4 in the .com debacle, that turned out to be a great thing. But if you invested in ABC.com, it's out of business, right? So I think you have to be aware of that. Is that most of the cryptocurrencies will go by the wayside. They'll become worthless. You're going to have the top 5 or 10 that probably stick around, just like commodities. You can think about the major commodities, gold, oil, and silver, and copper, and some of these. I mean, there's always a group that's going to be the main ones that kind of pull through. But I think you got to stick with best of breed. I mean, there's there's thousands of cryptocurrencies at this point, and I'm not a believer in 99% of those. I think the top 10 really is where you're looking. That's the best chance. And listen, there might be something in the top 10 that doesn't come through too. But I think as long as you diversify out, and you can see I'm personally in those three: Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Ether, as my picks. I may expand out to EOS and some of these other ones, which I think are very intriguing as well. But for the most part, that's down the line a little bit when we get a little bit more clarity. Okay, so that's where it is, folks, and this is what it's all about. It's all about picking this. I don't care if it's a stock. I don't care if it's a commodity. I don't care if it's a cryptocurrency. Their charts are charts. You can pick the breakouts. You can make so much money. I mean, here today, a 20% move from lows to highs. I mean, just right there. That's an awesome move, folks. I mean, you invest, 10,000 bucks, you just made 2K, just like that. So it doesn't have to be, again, you can trade these things. It's a trading vehicle, just like anything is out there. All right, bottom line is, come to inthemoneystocks.com. I gave our members this trade alert as well. And again, a lot of them are in because I've been talking about crypto for the last few months nonstop. And sure enough, they're all getting paid today. Come join us at inthemoneystocks.com.